welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Silver Liming. My name is Anne Desjardins. I'm your host here. And again, the reason I've put this together is because I really believe in the power of hope and the ability for people to heal. And I'm just sitting here looking at my placard from Padre Pio: pray, hope, don't worry. Those are some good words to live by. And I look at that every day and I apply that to every situation in my life and pray, hope, don't worry. And again, this is another situation where that would apply when we're thinking about healing from Lyme and tick-borne illness and some of the different co-infections that it brings along with it. And it's just really important for people to not give up, to maintain hope, not borrow trouble. Don't get yourself overwhelmed. If you're in a chat group and you're seeing so-and-so is not getting better or so-and-so is going downhill or whatever, you don't have to have that as your reality, right? You can choose to pick your own reality and grab onto the stories that are going to be more uplifting to you, such as my own or my guest today. I'm really excited to introduce Kim Rogers, the Worm Queen. This is someone that's kind of an idol in a sense. Like, I've used her products many times, and it's really cool to have an opportunity to actually talk to the person that's created the product. And that would be the Parafy kit. This is something that was recommended to me by my chiropractor. And I do recommend this to a lot of my clients who are just looking to cleanse their body. I know this seems to be a topic coming up very often in social media right now is parasites. People are like, oh my God, I got parasites in me. How do I get rid of them? Well, the products that Kim has put together, and you can order those on RogersHood Apothecary if you're looking for that, rogershood.com. She has quite a few different kits that she's put together, and I will let her speak to her own story and how she got involved with this space in the first place. But again, Kim, thank you for being here with me. It is really cool to have an opportunity to speak with you. Like I said before we started recording, it's been fun just watching you build your empire and understanding how nascent it really is even more like mind-blowing or inspiring. So not only hopefully are you listeners going to be inspired by her ability to heal herself, but also with the power of what she's created out of her her journey with dis-ease, right? And making it into
Mhm.
something that is really going to be beneficial, hopefully not just for her, but for you and for me. So Kim, if you don't mind, if you could just share a little bit more with us about who you are, how you became involved in this space, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And that was a great introduction. I really appreciate your kind words. And I'm excited to be here and to talk to your community about really solution-based things that I found during my journey. And now I'm just sharing with the world. And funny enough, I think Heidi Klum just came out a couple of days ago and is doing a parasite cleanse. So I know it sounds like I might be tooting my own horn here, but I really am the OG of why we're talking about all of this. And it's because I went really, really viral a few years ago over my own parasite cleanse. And then I created my own company over it. I wanted to control the products that people put into their body to make sure that what I was talking about was as transparent and also organic, ethically sourced, and clean. I didn't want to go on this journey and then be worried about what I was taking if it had heavy metals and if it was good for you. And I was finding that that was kind of what was going on with my journey. So I wanted to make sure that when I talked about a product that I was 100% behind it, and that just meant I had to start my own business. And I think that's how a lot of pain to purpose businesses come about is just there's just nothing out there. And so it's been kind of cool. I got a text the other day about Heidi doing a cleanse, and I'm like, well, what cleanse is she doing?
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of different things out there that aren't always the best for you when you're doing a parasite cleanse. And so that was something I found out a few years ago. So I started this journey in 2019. My husband and I got our affairs in order. I was really not doing well with my health, and there were no answers. I had had 13 surgeries, a hysterectomy. I mean, they just kept cutting on me. They kept putting me on medication, and I would ask, like, what's wrong with me? I don't understand. And coming from this world, I have two healthcare degrees. I ran 25 healthcare colleges. I was a professor. I wrote and authored multiple medical healthcare books. And I still didn't know about this. This was a subject that in Western medicine is taboo. There's no way we have parasites. There's no way that Lyme really affects you the way that it affects you. And there's no way an environmental toxin like mold could even take you down like it can. And I had all three, and I still have chronic Lyme. And I still, I live my life, so I definitely could still have parasites. And it's just something that we all need to know in our lives that this is an environmental toxin that we need to be aware of and be proactive. And so that's really what is my pushing point every single day that I wake up, is that this isn't something that it's a one and done and it goes away. These are things that you have to be conscientious about and really push the needle and continue to heal your body. And so when I went viral in 21 over on the Ticker Talker, it was crazy. It was a million people watched my video, a 60-second video, within 2 hours.
Wow.
And total in that video is 10 million. And at one point before I was heavily censored over there, I had 40 to 50 million people watch me a month.
Wow.
So when I say that I really am why this is talked about and pushed so heavily with parasites, it really is. And that's why I was crowned the Worm Queen. I didn't want to be Worm Lady.
Such a
That's
name.
boring. Yeah, yeah. People send me crowns. There's a crown. I got a crown. It's fun. It's fun. I've enjoyed it.
That's right. And you should have a little bit of fun with it for sure, because
Yeah. It's
again, it's a
gross.
pretty, that's right. It's a pretty gross and serious topic, but we can't lose sight of the fact that we still need to have some fun in what we
Yeah.
do. And I respect that tremendously. And so I have to ask, like, I've heard differing opinions, like, yes, we need to worry about parasites, no, we don't, and that we're always just going to have parasites living in our body. I sort of
Mhm.
have come to the conclusion where, yes, I think we will always have some in our body, but I think that we can have too much and too
Mhm.
many, and that starts to tip our hand in terms of not being well versus feeling well in our bodies. And I believe in Europe that they do a parasite cleanse at least once a year or maybe quarterly to just keep themselves functioning regularly. Do you know anything about that topic,
Mhm.
and what are your thoughts on that?
Other countries do deworm. I call it a cleanse because it sounds way prettier. And it used to just be, oh, we're deworming. But really, we're cleansing our bodies in a multiple different ways. So I'm definitely going to talk about why it is really important to do a cleanse versus just deworming and the ideas behind it so that you can get an idea why the Parafy kit became about and why it's really important to do it in the series that I have set up in this cleanse system that we have. Other countries do deworm. Mexico does it a couple of times a year. In fact, it's almost mandatory in specific things because they're so easy to catch. Pinworms are airborne, contagious, and so it's like lice of the butt. When you catch it, everybody in your family is going to catch it. So everyone in your family should deworm at the same time, is my opinion, and other countries' opinions. Other countries cleanse like Germany, they use wormwood, but they also use a binder. And that's definitely something that is a miss in our culture, is that a binder is really important. And it's something I didn't do at the beginning of my journey for parasite cleansing. And so, but being able to bind and doing a heavy metal detox at the same time is really important. And that's why it's important to do a system like the Parafy kit. Now, to answer your first question about why people think that we should have parasites in our bodies, kind of goes into why you should include a heavy metal detox while you're parasite cleansing. And it's because we are constantly, and they think, they as in other people that are not familiar with an environmental toxin cleansing systems, is that they think that you should have parasites in your body to absorb the heavy metals and to absorb those bacteria and absorb the viruses. And it allows your body to have a barrier inside in order for you to not get sicker. But unfortunately, I don't agree with that because we do eat anti-parasitic foods all day long. When you're eating pumpkin seeds or you're eating pineapple or papaya, you are disrupting them and they're dumping all of the heavy metals, all of the bacteria and viruses into your body. And there's no barrier because you're not binding. So you're actually creating an environmental storm inside of your body unless you do series of events, a series of cleansing like binding, heavy metal detoxing, candida is an issue, you got the viruses and you have parasites. So if you go in and you continuously do a system where you're removing the process, so it's like a house that you're building, and you got to go in and burn the house down in order to expose everything and then pluck each issue out of that house. And you're doing that when you're doing something like the Parafy kit versus just doing an anti-parasitic and not binding. So we're teaching you in this kit how to do that, whether you continue to use ours, which we love that people do, or you do something else, but it makes you aware of how anti-parasitics actually work and then what's more involved with them than just, oh, I'm just doing a heavy metal detox. Well, you release those heavy metals in that detox. What do you think you're probably going to see? Probably going to see a parasite coming out of your stool. Well, they just laid an egg on the way out. So now how are you going to clean up their offspring? Right? So there's really more than just, oh, I'm taking this herb. It really is more of a complex system that instead of making everybody try and think about it, I just handed it to everyone with instructions and said, this is how you always should be cleansing.
Yeah. And so to that point, can you review a little bit in terms of what is, so I guess the cinnamon is the binder?
The
Yeah.
cinnamon is the binder.
Okay, so for people listening, when you're looking at the Parafy kit, for example, there's five products that are, well, six products that are included. So you have Gutty, which prepares your gut in the beginning to
Yeah.
be ready to absorb and process what's about to happen. And then you have a Parafy tincture, metal flush tincture,
hmm
sustain tincture, and then the cinnamon tablets that you take, which I think
hmm
are charcoal and a couple other
And
ingredients.
it's Ceylon cinnamon and coconut activated charcoal. And the Ceylon cinnamon helps with inflammation, but it also helps gather the spores that might have been dropped inside of whatever biofilm environmental toxin that you've now broken. So that really was important for me because I was living in mold and had no idea. And then I instinctually just added cinnamon in there. And we've all been exposed to some sort of mold with spores in it. So at least you're getting a little assistance when it comes to, again, why people think you should have these. But again, I don't think you should.
Okay. And then we've got a fulvic soak, which helps
Yep.
with the actual detox process. So if you happen to be like herxing or you have
Yeah.
die off coming out too hard and your body's like, I don't like this, take a bath in the fulvic soak. And that really just helps again to release some more of the die off quickly through your body.
hmm Or you
Um,
can do a foot soak. I had them swim out of my feet with a foot soak and I filmed it. It's all
and
on film.
so, so then I have taken pictures of what the water surface looks like. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Well, the water surface is usually like heavy metals and dead skin, but I had them swim out of my feet and
Oh my God.
actively swim in the water.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actively. Like
That would
I went
totally be
viral in July over my cleanse and then I went viral in August. I mean, I was already very viral, but when I say viral, it's like when you hit a button and a million people in like 5 minutes watch your video, that's what happened with Fulvic. So I
okay.
had just done a Fulvic soak and so much came out of my feet and we're swimming around in the water and it you would think, "Oh, it's just the water moving." No, it swam upstream.
Huh.
Like the worm swam upstream.
Okay. Quality. Well, I know that our feet are like the most porous area of our body, so
Mhm.
um I'm not totally surprised by that, but
It
that
was shocking.
I'm sure. I'm like trying to think about how I would be feeling if I had seen that happen to me.
It was weird. It was weird. And it
Yeah.
was all on film. And at first, I'm like, nothing's happening. Now I know how everyone feels when they don't see anything. 5 minutes later, 5 minutes. And I'm still holding the thing. And all of a sudden, I go, oh my God, I feel movement. And then I look down and I'm like, I'm calling my husband. Oh my God, something is swimming. Come quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Um I don't know if I'd ever be the same again.
I mean, I feel a little like that. It was that aha moment. And then it's all on film. So everybody's like, oh my God, I thought that you had cleansed. I thought, they're saying all these things. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, I mean, maybe I just reinfected myself. I did eat some seafood and I'm questioning everything in those moments because I had never experienced anything like this. Western medicine is nothing like this, it's very black and white.
Yes.
So I'm questioning, oh my God, did I just reinfect myself? How are they coming out of my feed? I'm just in my mind, I could not believe it, but it definitely led me down the path to find out they were in our water. So, not, that wasn't the only reason why I had parasites, but it was a big reason for my co infection of Lyme. Now I know I have chronic Lyme, which I found out in 2023, but it was a co infection of what was going on in my body. And so I found out they were in the water. So some of those could have been from water. Some of them came out of my body. Like you just don't really even know looking back. But it was a very wild situation. I'm living in the woods while building my own log home. And my husband and I are out there just trying to heal me. And it's just kind of a crazy thought process that they could be swimming out of our feet.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, do you filter your water?
We do. So in that particular situation, my husband thought that a charcoal filter was enough. And we actually lived in an area where it was the best water in the world, is how they kind of sell the property that we owned out there. And it's well water. And it doesn't matter what kind of water it is, water can be contaminated. And we've actually tested our water here in Seattle and it tested positive for nematodes. Our country doesn't test the water for physical worms. They only test it when needed for parasites like Giardia, D. fragilis, and crypto. So I had Cryptosporidium parvium, which is parvo, which kills puppies, and was shutting my organs down in 19 and 20. And that's what also made me so ill, was that the water was contaminated. I was showering in it. I was brushing my teeth. I was not drinking it. We had reverse osmosis water, but we only had a charcoal filter on our travel trailer that we were living in on our property. And so, I would open my mouth and here and there. And then we lived on a lake, which now I know that fresh water has a high potential for parasites. And that's probably where I caught crypto. But this is all just a normal thing in society. It's just
Sure.
not a normal thing to us because we've been somewhat indoctrinated to think that it couldn't happen to us.
Yeah, sure. And then I hear your background, but like, how did you specifically arrive at the combination that you put in the kit? Were
From all of
you
my experience
okay?
of this. So I learned about herbs in 2019. I learned specifically about mushrooms. And while I was learning about mushrooms, I started digging in to find out that the pharmaceutical company just uses the DNA structure of an herb in order to synthetically make it. And I learned that because of Amanita. So I was on benzodiazepine for 22 years at a high level, 4 milligrams, and I was slowly getting myself off of it. And before getting off of it, I learned about how an herb can compare to pharmaceuticals. And so, with that knowledge, I then did the same thing when I was creating the Parafy kit. Well, what do I need in order to help detox heavy metals? Cilantro, because the DNA structure helps push the cilantro out of your body, or the cilantro helps push heavy metals out of your body. Okay, well, if that's the case, so what is the symptom? And then what is the herb? And that's all pharmaceuticals do. What is the symptom? What
Sure.
is the medication? That's how we all learned. And so I just did the same thing. Okay, well, I saw a lot of tapeworms my first few months of doing this. I guess 3 out of 5 people have a tapeworm. RFK Jr. has a tapeworm. He has neurocysticercoma. He has a dead one in his brain. So, I mean, all of these things need something to remove it, right? So, hawthorn berry, and hawthorn flower and leaf. Tapeworms don't like that. That's why bears go and eat berries, because they're trying to deworm the tapeworm out of their body. So, okay, well, then I'm going to put hawthorn in there, right? And then dandelion root supports the liver. Also, while you're supporting the liver, then it's healthy enough to push out flukes. So, really, it was just using my Western medicine training to assist people in a holistic herbal fashion. And then I read a lot. Like I read all day, every day. I pulled out a lot of herb books. I lived on Native American land. So I really pulled in what they thought and looking around. And I mean, I also did a lot of journeys with mushrooms to kind of help me ground and be in the earth and kind of help me understand what all of the things are around me that I can utilize to help my body. So it was just really kind of a series of medical awakenings that I had over those years that allowed me to develop this amazing kit and help others cleanse their bodies with kind of little to no knowledge that they need in order to push all of these things out of their body.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I really like about it is just how easy it is, right? Like I just go
Mhm.
online, go to your site, click, add it to my cart, buy it, off it comes to me, and then I've got what I need. I have all the ingredients right there. It's very simple to follow the instructions. You can put in like a nice printed step-by-step
Mhm.
instruction card in the box for people to really understand exactly when and how to take the product. And it's a 30-day duration. And also I know that potentially people might have to do it a second or third time. And again, like you've mentioned before, this is an ongoing maintenance kind of a thing too. So how do you, okay, like how do you know when you've done it enough times? And what would be some common symptoms that people would have an abundance of parasites that they should even consider doing this?
I don't think you can do it enough times. I think because we've never dewormed our bodies and we've never done heavy metal detoxing and we all have candida at some point in our life, that you should be proactive and do this a minimum of 3 to 4 times a year. I don't think that you can overdo it. I mean, I've taken it every day for years and I'm fine. And I've just been able to maintain the cleansing lifestyle because this is a lifestyle. It's not like you're just going to hop in and all of a sudden you're going to do one cleanse and your whole life is changed. It really is giving you the energy, though, to be able to go and do other things. When I started cleansing, I went from being chair bound. Most people are bed bound. I don't like laying in bed. So I was chair bound. And I went from that after 30 days of being chair bound to at least being able to assist a little bit in my own hygiene, my husband literally is my caretaker and he would have to help me shower. He would have to help me go to the bathroom sometimes because I could not get up. And so after 30 days of doing this, just giving my body a little bit of a reset and a little bit of a break, I was able to then get up and kind of participate a little bit more in my life versus just sitting there all day long and not being able to do anything. The brain fog was unbelievable. The pain was terrible. And now knowing that that was a lot to do with Lyme in my joints, but this would kind of pause them. It would keep them from continuing to migrate throughout my body. And so it really isn't something that you're just going to do once. It really is something you're going to do once and you're going to have an awakening in those moments and you're going to go, "Oh my God, this is what it's supposed to be like. Not like this. It's supposed to be like this. Now, how do I continue to keep myself like this?" And
Yeah.
you just get a fire. Chronically ill people need a fire. They need to be shown you don't have to live like this. You don't have to live in pain. You don't have to feel like this. You literally can help yourself. It's going to take a while, but you really can do it. I'm on my third, almost my fourth year.
Yeah. And that's something I think about a lot is just how many people have accepted where they're
Mhm.
at because the doctor is like, oh, that's normal. That's how you're supposed to be feeling. You're getting older or you're doing whatever. And it's like, wait a second.
Mhm.
Actually, it could be all these other things. Why are we not exploring these options? Like, what if
Yep.
that's what it is? And you're going to just doom this person for the rest of their life to feel like crap. Like, that's
Mhm.
really not fair. But again, we've been taught so much so in this society that doctors are the end all be all and they know everything. And I appreciate them for what they embody and what they represent because I really do feel ultimately they've gotten into their line of work because they want to help people, right? Like
Yeah.
never met a doctor who went through all of that work because he didn't genuinely want to help people. But there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. And I think this is an area that goes under the radar a lot and isn't really something that's top of mind when it comes to looking at someone like yourself who had however many symptoms and whatever going sideways in your body, but yet this was never mentioned, or myself, right? Like for 7 years, well, for 4 years I tried, and the remaining three I just gave up on life and was turned into
Mm,
a raging alcoholic, basically high functioning alcoholic, because that's all I could do to sleep. But it was total mind F because um, I kept getting told there was nothing wrong with me except for too much
mhm,
stress. And it was like I knew systemically that there was something very wrong with my body. But because the doctors are telling me there's nothing wrong with me, then I'm embarrassed to talk to people about what's really happening with my life because there's nothing legitimately wrong with me. So then I feel like a crazy person. But like, how many people are living on that hamster wheel? How many people are going through
mhm.
that and having things done to their body that they really don't need, or getting put on prescription drugs that are probably doing more harm than good in the long run
Yeah.
because they're just masking the symptoms. They're not actually addressing what's really at the root cause of the problem. So that's why I applaud things like what you've created with herbs. They're so smart. They're God-given. They have so many missions that they embody. Like they're not just there to kill, like they're there to
Mhm,
do beneficial things to the body. They're smart enough to suss out the good from the bad bacteria. They know how to interact best with our body because again, it's stuff that we can eat and
mhm.
it's given to us for a reason. And we're not supposed to be shoveling in pharmaceuticals by the handful. Like that's just not how it really does work. And so I just think, again, the kind of products that you've developed are very smart to help people from a holistic approach or from a God-given approach, right? And like to
Mhm.
really make a difference that way. But I do think about that so many times. It's like how many people are just suffering and accepting that as their baseline because that's what doctors tell them is normal and what they're supposed to be feeling like. And I
That's what I was
really,
told.
yeah, yeah,
It was September like 12th or something of 2020. Kim, I hadn't pooped in a month. I reached out to my surgeon. I was less than 1 year my last surgery. So I had surgeries every 2 years. I had a hysterectomy that, in my opinion, was not needed. I had Lyme and I had mold, and my mom and I have the same mold. I found out now because of how healthy I've been getting. I've had my mom now going down this path, and we've realized that we have the same exact active mold in our body that we got from when I was born. So I was born into mold. She lived in the Air Force Base in Vandenberg, and it's very moldy, and she got very sick then. So it really does stem backwards to that. And the fact that I had a hysterectomy at 29 years old with no children, and it was a life changing surgery that I can never go back and do, differently. And I'm okay with that. I'm good with it. I accepted it. I have no regrets because look at where I'm at now.
right.
But the fact that it was overlooked for 20 plus years, and that I was told that I was crazy and I was put on pharmaceuticals at age 12 because I had behavioral issues, because I'd gotten bit by a tick, because of all of these things. I vowed the moment I realized it all on that day that I went viral that I wouldn't allow this to ever happen to anyone again if I had a voice. And I do, and I have a platform, and I'm going to use it for that. And whether I have a product or not, I was using it because I have the knowledge. And I just feel like we're in such a weird place in society now that we need to have our voices heard and we need to be our own advocates. When I reached out to my doctor in September of 2020 and she told me, go take some psyllium husk and see if you go poop. But unfortunately, Kim, there's nothing left for us to do. This is your life. I was mad. I
Sure.
thought I have dedicated all of my years, all of my time in Western medicine to helping other people heal. And now it's my time to figure out what's wrong with me. And I relied on you to help me. And that's how you treat me. No, if you treat me like that, you're treating everyone like that. And that's just not acceptable. And then obviously, what was going on in 2020 as well with everyone really lit a fire under me. So that was it. I had a fire lit and we learned to grow mushrooms. And I immediately said, I got to get off all my big pharma meds. I need to know what's really wrong with my body. I was actually going to be tested for Parkinson's because I had the twitch and the stare. Neurology is my specialty. Endocrine and neurology were my specialties in the field. And so I was a medical specialist. That was what I did. I only did specialty things where I would dig in like I'm doing now. This is a specialty. It's not something that everyone has this knowledge about. So I do see that a lot of people out in the world are like, well, how come my doctor doesn't know? How come nobody knows about this? It's just not something that's one, discussed, it's taboo. Two, you do have to dig in. Like you do have to go through. I've read other countries' medical on this. I've looked at even the Amish, the way the Amish handle parasites, the way Mexico handles parasites, and the way Western medicine handles parasites. So I personally do not think that the doctors are like, oh, we're hiding this. Oh, they just don't know. I mean, I've spent 4 years learning about this. They
Correct.
don't have that time. You know what I mean? Like they really do rely on people like myself to go in and dig in and see exactly what to do. And it's cool because I do have a lot of Western medicine doctors that are steering their patients to doing my cleanse. And a few years ago, I had a Western medicine doctor reach out to my husband's best friend's brother who was actually in his office about GI issues. And he goes, you should go find, there's this lady on the internet that like, you should try a parasite cleanse if your gut's all goofed up. And so my my husband's best friend goes, that's Jeremy's wife.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, it was a Western medicine doctor. So there was like this glimmer of hope in those moments.
And again, I totally agree with you. And I was mentioning it before. It's like all doctors really sign up to have benevolence and to help people and to
Hmm.
do good. And my own father is a retired physician, right? And he's like, we learned about Lyme disease for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes in medical
Yep.
school, and then we are on to the next topic. And if we stop to think about all of the things that can go awry in a human body, it's infinite in my opinion. Like
Hmm.
I'll keep hearing about something else and I'm like, what? That can happen to people? Like, whoa. So
Hmm.
it would be very difficult for them to completely encompass everything or to know everything. That's
Yeah.
just not practical. That's why there are specialties in different areas that people will really study and get to know a lot better. But like this is probably definitely not one of them. And it's unfortunate because again, if you do look at other countries and you do look at other places in the world, this is a regular process for them.
Hmm.
And it's just because it's so foreign to us here that it's just not mainstream or people don't know to do this right away. And so I think it's just through conversations like we're having, different things that we can do to spread the word. You've got your own podcast to
Hmm.
help people again to understand what's eating you.
Hmm.
And so it's great because again, you're helping to spread the word, you're helping to educate people. And that's
With a
another reason.
solution.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And
And I
that's
didn't want to ever talk about certain things without having a solution because then people feel lost and more gaslit and aggravated. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
you're fine.
But it's true. I mean, it's like like I had mold and I didn't really talk about it when I had the mold poisoning. As soon as I lost half my hair, my eyes started swelling shut. People were mentioning, Kim, what's going on with your eyes? And I'm like, I have no idea. And I found out we had mold and I just acted and I didn't share it really with my community at the time. And then as soon as I was able to have a solution, which we have a kit for mold, and it's a co-infection of Lyme. And so I'm just process of elimination. Okay, what's my next testing? What's my next kit? Because, it's like I didn't know, and I'm deep into parasites, not into mold. And now I'm deep into mold and parasites and Lyme because they've all affected me. And a lot of people that have parasites are in mold and have Lyme. So it really, we are like in the same community situation. And but you don't have to have any of these things just to be proactive with your own body. Really, you don't. You just really need to realize they're in our food, they're in our water. You go into a freshwater lake, you're going in, and there's a possibility for schistomiasis. There's a possibility for roundworm. Like this is just life. Like they're here doing their job. which is breaking down, decomposing, and we're here doing our job. And unfortunately, they love us. We are the ultimate. We give them everything they need. They never want to leave our bodies. Why would they? I wouldn't want to leave. I would totally want to chill with me every day, all day. I sit all day. I used to eat terrible. Like, I was a drinker. So like all of these things is what feeds them. Why wouldn't you want to go into the best host? We are. We are the best host. We get them from all over the place. I mean, it's not just, oh, you went to Mexico. If you eat ice, right? Like I would think back, I used to work for an airline, so I would travel all over the world when I worked for the airlines, and I didn't care. I'd have a margarita in Mexico. Oh, well, how did they filter the ice, the water, right? Like you don't think about those things and you think, oh, the tequila's going to kill them. And it might have, but it also might have just made them happier. I don't know. It's like, so you got to really sit back and think about the fact that you just want to be proactive, not be a reactive. And that's really what my mission is to teach people how to be proactive instead of reactive. And it's not a one and done. And I do believe in my own journey and in my own professional life because I did train lab technicians. They just did not get the training. I would give them 3 minutes. They would look at the stool. If they didn't see anything, it was deemed negative, but then there's a fine line at the bottom of your lab slip that says this is not in lieu of a parasitic infection. And it's because they don't have the training that they need. So again, going back to all of this and looking at it in a big picture, it's just you don't know, they don't know. Now we know. And so, what do we do to fix this so that we are a healthier society? The healthy American, the Maha, all of these things are to make us a better society and to make our bodies really where we're not on a chronically ill epidemic. And I believe that we are there because of parasites and mold. I really do. I believe we've just ignored these for so many decades, right? We've
Yeah.
only been in this Western medicine world for 101 years. This is something we used to do. This is something that we used to know about. And coming from academia, I can see where over these 100 years, this got changed and taken out of our educational textbooks. It's very easy. I was a subject matter expert. It was easy to take something out of a textbook as a gold standard. Last person that reads that book before it goes to print was me on some books. And I'd take things out, not realizing that ripple effect that I could change the future because it was something, oh, we don't use that. Oh, just like nutrition. Oh, we only got like 3 hours in college for that. And
Yeah.
that's not just for Western medicine, it's for functional doctors as well. Like NDs, so really it is something that we all just need to be aware for our own bodies. And then if you find a doctor that doesn't believe you, you should switch doctors.
Yeah, that I've talked about quite a few times. If your doctor's not willing to help you or test you or believe in what you could potentially have going on there, find someone else who does because
Yep.
there's some that know a lot more about it than others, and you just got to get yourself to one that is more educated than not, especially if you're feeling unwell or you've got unanswered health questions, because there's ultimately a root cause for it. When
Hmm.
I trained here again in Ayurveda, it's the oldest holistic medicine system coming out of India. And we really look at root cause, not symptoms and mask with something to just make the symptoms go away. No, we really want to trace back the pathology of that actual disorder in the body to really understand
Hmm.
again where it's coming from to eliminate it at the root source. And herbs play a critical, imperative role in that function. I will also say, like, currently I've been going through some mold issues in my house, which I am not that excited about because, like, I know where I came from and it was definitely chock full of mold. It's not as bad here, but I'm in the process of remediating and it's just like, oh man. So probably going to check out your mold kit and go ahead and order
Yeah.
that.
I'm
But
happy
I
to
would
send that
say,
to you. I'm
oh,
happy to
thanks.
send it to you. I'm
Yeah.
also happy we can talk online. There are some tips, or I can just say I'm here to help remediate the mold.
Yeah.
You got to cut it out like you got to cut out like the C, right? You got to go in and cut it out, but then you got to treat that area with something like Boracare. And
Yeah.
then that will allow that area to not get it again. It kind of blocks it. We sprayed our whole log home that we built ourselves with Boracare. And then we actually had a leak in our toilet, and we live in Seattle now. We had to move ourselves out of the log home because it was still being built. And all of this happened. And so I can't do a podcast with a chainsaw going on behind me. So my husband had to move me out. So anyway, so we live in Seattle. But we had a leak when we weren't there with a toilet, and it stopped the mold from growing because we sprayed everything. And it's unfortunate that, again, back in the building thought process and construction, people don't think about this extra protection or your HVAC system. We had mold in our travel trailer while we were building our log home, and it just took us down. I mean, I lost half my hair and my eyes swelled shut, and I'm on camera, and I just started Rogers Hood. We were a year in, and I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And I was just living in, Aspergillus niger, black toxic mold at a level I should have been hospitalized. And my husband has a warrior gene, and he has an APAP, so he wasn't breathing it in like I was breathing it in. He was out there building, and I'm stuck in a chair. So it really is super smart that you realized that you potentially have that and that you have it, because it's called a mold hold. You just don't realize how bad the mold really is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I deal with clients who are going through that too. And it's like, oh man, it's my coach is like, well, now you know exactly how to help people. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I could have pretty much skipped this part. However, like
Right.
I've already been here and done this. Like I don't really need to know. But now it's like getting the mold inspector, getting them to come out and really identify the water source, getting them to come out and treat and remediate and do all that stuff. And they sprayed something the other week that kills the mold and doesn't
Mm-hmm.
allow it to grow back. And he's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that bad smelling. And I was like, I've been living at my parents' house for the last 2 weeks because like the smell was more than I wanted to tolerate. And I just got a new HVAC system 2 years ago, and I was like, son of a bee, like this isn't even funny because this is a newer problem in this house. And just like, oh man. So just going through, and I think we've identified the water source now, so then I can get that fixed and I can properly remediate and then get some air
Yes.
scrubbers on the back end and keep my air
Yeah.
clean. And I'm grateful it's like a better time of year that I can open the windows here, although I know there's mold outside, but like at least it's free flowing air moving
Right.
through the house. And but it's a real pain in the butt. And I would
It
say
is.
probably now 70% of the guests that I've had on my podcast had mold issues in
Yeah.
conjunction with Lyme. And to your point, like they often go hand in hand. And I think maybe the mold just takes the immune system down, that the Lyme
That's
can set in, and the other things like candida and parasites can also move in because the immune system has just been rendered non-functioning. And
yep.
a lot of people, again, just don't realize what's happening to them until it's too late. And when I look back in terms of how sick I actually was in the middle of everything, I know I had black mold at that house. I don't have black mold here, which I'm like, okay, like at least it's not that, but I know that some of the other ones are just as gnarly. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like I bet any money that's why I was as sick as I was. I didn't know what I knew then that I know now. And like I kept blaming the Lyme, but ultimately I think a lot of it probably was mold.
Yep.
And so it's just super imperative. So your kits then that you've got, I mean, I'm looking at your website, so I can see quite a few different combinations that you've got going on. You've got the ultimate lymph kit, the super Parify kit, the lymph kit, the super lymph kit. Like, did we not?
Well, those are just because then you don't have to add the Fulvic or the Gutty. So really, our
Thank
base
you.
kits are Parafy kit, Lymph kit, and Moldies.
Thank
Those
you.
are all the diseases, all of the issues that I've had, that I just created kits because there isn't anything out there. And as I was going through it, there wasn't anything for me just to turn to and grab with easy instructions. It was a piecemealed situation. It cost me a fortune. Like, I just happened to be lucky that I started a business to be able to help me heal myself. But when this first started, my husband and I were on governmental assistance, and we were very, very poor. So to be able to bring something out for $100 that literally can help you get to answers. I mean, that's really what this is I just wanted answers. And I'm very smart. I was a valedictorian at both of my degrees and I still didn't know this and I couldn't get answers. So, especially with the mold, I don't talk a lot about the mold. I'm trying to do more talking about it because it really did affect me way more than parasites did, more than Lyme did. I'm still fighting the mold. And it's really weird that, like, as I'm going through this, okay, so we were in Santa Barbara last week and we were staying in an Airbnb from 1885. Oh, mold. Walked in immediately. I immediately knew, but because I've done so much work on my body and my husband, we were actually able to kind of fight through it a little bit more. And we just took all of our herbs that we needed to take to put a barrier. Wormwood. Wormwood will suppress your immune system when you know you're in the mold. Take yourself some Parafy. It will suppress and keep the spores from multiplying in your body. That's kind of why a lot of mold people don't like you to take a parasite cleanse, is because it suppresses the spores, but it suppresses the spores to allow your immune system to do its job and not have the spores multiply. Once you know you're in mold and you know that you have that issue, take yourself a lot of wormwood because of that. Now, if you don't know and all of a sudden you stop and you get off of a kit, then you're like, worse, you should look at mold. That's your next indicator. So we're chilling in this house, and all of the people, we travel with a bunch of people for our podcast, and all of the people were sick. All of my team was sick. And I saw it. I was sitting there, I was watching these highly functioning people that helped me run this business, and they had the worst mold fog. They were walking around very zombie, like not able to make decisions. And I'm like, what do you guys want to have for breakfast? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong with you guys? Like, what's going on with you? And it took me a day. And I stopped and I thought, it's all the spores. It's all the spores affecting them. Plus, we cleanse a lot, so our bodies really are highly affected when we're around environmental toxins. But if that little amount happened in just a few days, can you imagine when you're living in it all day, every day? Some of the symptoms that I thought were the craziest about mold poisoning was, one, I never wanted to be in my house. I always wanted to leave. And the body was like, get out, like it was telling me, get out, get out. The other one is I was never hungry. And it's because it suppresses your metabolism.
Huh.
And the last one that we thought was just because we were getting old is you pee all night long. So when I was sitting next to Bishop, who is our producer for What's Eating You, and he goes, I was up 7 times last night peeing. And I go, oh, yeah, we're in mold. Like, I'm glad you were up because your body's telling you, get the mold out. You're not getting old, bud. You're just, your body's like, get the spores out, get it out, get it out. And the way it gets it out is in the urine. That's why we test for mold in your urine, because it's the most domineering part of your blood or your fluids that you can test to tell you exactly what mold it is, how it is. But 7 times in one night he peed. And I
Wow.
remember, I'm like, yeah, I remember my husband and I were up all night just thinking, oh, we're just getting old. No,
Yeah,
it's because your body is doing what it's supposed to be doing, going, get out, get out, get out. So,
that's interesting. I,
mm-hmm.
I've got many thoughts about that, but I also know we've got a little bit of a time constraint. I want to be respectful of that. So, man, I could talk to you for like an indefinite amount of time over
We'll
this.
have to come back and
For
do mold
sure.
because
For
it does
sure.
affect Lyme.
Yeah.
And you really need to fight it in parasites, mold, and then Lyme. You
Yeah.
got to do a system, and that's really what Rogers Hood and myself are about, is showing you the right way to do a cleanse, to not just hop on, Paragard over from Amazon. Like, you got to bind. There's things you have to do in order for you to detox your body, and we all do have some mold and parasites in our body, but you really can do it in a way that it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah. Well, that's much appreciated. And I'm just curious then, as maybe a final question, but like, what order would you do it in? You said parasites, then mold, then Lyme, or you
Hmm.
could do the Parafy kit at the same time as the moldies, or how would you recommend that?
I recommend starting with our lymph kit. which is also an assistance with the Lyme.
Okay.
So it has Lyme herbs in it, usnea, cat's claw. Those are really potent Lyme herbs. And you can take that with a Parasite kit. So it's not a cleanse, it's more of support to boost your body to allow you to push these environmental toxins out. And I do recommend parasites first, then mold. And that's because parasites hold spores. And if you think about when you cut your body in half, you would think, okay, what does the wall look like with mold? Cut your body in half. That's what your body looks like. So you're wanting to remove something that's continuously holding on to the spores, which is parasites. And then you come in behind 7 days later after a parasite cleanse, you can do the moldies cleanse. I do recommend 2 to 3 times doing the parasite kit just because you're trying to remove the parasites out of your body to give it more of a blank slate to then work on the mold. And you can take the lymph kit the entire time. I designed it so that all of the herbs synergistically work together, allowing for a more robust cleanse, a more supportive cleanse, and overall less die offs. Because, I mean, you're going to have them with both. You're going to have more emotional die offs with mold, and you're going to have more physical die offs with parasites. And remember this, parasites are definitely controlling, they can control your mind, and mold is brainwashing. So it's not you that is feeling this way, it's actually these alive frequencies in our body making you feel this way.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot, and I try to tell that to people. It's like, this isn't you. This is the disease talking, or whatever it is that you've got going on, and acknowledge that. Like, this is not your mind. This is being hijacked by parasites or mold or Lyme. And
Hmm.
it's really important for people to understand. And so again, if you're interested in checking out Kim's products, and I do recommend them, I'm actually an affiliate myself. I really refer these products to a lot of my clients to help with the battle against Lyme and tick-borne illness and a lot of the co-infections. You can visit her site at RogersHood.com, and she has it nicely laid out that you can see all the different kit types that are available. And again, if you have some of the existing products like the fulvic soak or something, then maybe you would just get a different version, just like the Parasite kit itself versus the ultimate Parasite kit. Um, but as she's saying, you would want to couple that with the lymph kit, which I
Hmm.
like is kind of a pun on Lyme.
Hmm.
It's LYMF. So yeah,
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 I
I love
did.
how
I
you did
did.
that. I like I see that a
I'm glad
lot.
you saw that.
Yep. And if you're wanting to, I'm sure that you could reach out to Kim directly if that's
Yes.
okay. And what
Yep.
would be the best way for people to contact you?
You can go to team@rogershood.com. And I do have 30 employees. We make our own products in a 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility. And then I have a social media team that does help me. And we strive to read and answer every comment, DM, and email. It is what we're here for. We've all dedicated our lives to helping with this.
Yeah, and what a beautiful mission, and something that you lived and breathed yourself and used all the
Hmm.
time. And so it's nice to be able to share that with others, and again, make it easy for people like me who are like, okay, I'm got 50,000 supplements. Maybe I can just get it all together in this nice kit, save myself some
Hmm.
time, money, and energy and doing it that way. But again, if you're interested in those products, I would highly recommend that you check them out. You can hit me up for a code for a discount if you're interested. Feel free to reach out or leave comment below and we will get that to you. And again, I just appreciate you, Kim, very much. It's really fun talking to you. Again, somebody with a very similar heart and mind and story. I always appreciate the camaraderie that I find through doing this podcast. And you can also check out Kim's podcast, What's Eating You? And do you have that? I'm sure on like all the major
Hmm.
podcast platforms.
Yep, all the major podcast platforms, and it's What's Eating You with the letter U. We don't spell it YOU.
Yep. Thanks for clarifying that. But
Yeah.
again, I really appreciate you and I love the nickname Worm Queen. That's a
Thanks.
lot of fun. And just continue to build that empire because we really do need it in this country sorely,
Mm.
and if not, even just around the world. So thank you for what you do in your heart and soul.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay.